I wouldn't lie about it.
You could, though. I'm saying you could. It could be just a blatant lie.
Morgan Freeman has revealed the actors he couldn't stand. He publicly roasted Denzel Washington for being presumptuous.
He said that I looked at him after asking his name, and I told him this: kid, we click swords 3 times, I stab you, you fall down and die.
He avoided Kevin Spacey years before anyone knew why, and called out Al Pacino for mistaking volume for intensity. Freeman's instincts about human character aren't just sharp, they're almost supernatural.
The other day I was in Berlin, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I went to a restaurant Sunday night, and when I walked in, somebody at another table went, "Oh my God, it's Denzel." And I just kind of looked out the corner of my eye, and I moved on. We got to our table, the guy behind us turned around and went, "Morgan Freeman."
These are the actors Morgan Freeman can't stand, and the brutal reasons why. So let's get into it. Morgan Freeman is known for his gentle, godlike persona. But at the 2019 AFI Life Achievement Awards, he delivered one of the most savage celebrity roasts ever seen. His target was Denzel Washington, one of Hollywood's most respected actors.
40 years ago, 1979, Denzel and I were in a Joseph Papp production of Coriolanus. I was the lead. Denzel was a stage prop.
Freeman wasn't done. He proceeded to tell a story that would humble even the proudest actor. Back in 1979, young Denzel Washington was fresh out of Fordham University, desperate to make an impression on the veteran Freeman. During rehearsals for the Shakespeare play, Washington approached Freeman with suggestions about extending their sword fight scene. He wanted more drama, more action, more time to showcase his skills. What happened next became Hollywood legend.
What I actually said to Denzel was, "You're that brilliant young actor just out of Fordham University. That was a great suggestion."
But Freeman wasn't being sincere. His delivery dripped with sarcasm as he continued the story, revealing how he really felt about the young actor's presumptuous suggestions. The roast showed a side of Freeman most people never see: sharp, cutting, and unafraid to embarrass even his closest friends. The moment revealed Freeman's true personality. Beneath the calm exterior lies someone who doesn't suffer fools gladly and remembers every slight, even decades later. Washington took it gracefully, but the audience got to see Freeman at his most brutally honest. This wasn't just friendly banter. It was Freeman establishing dominance and reminding everyone, including Denzel, exactly who the veteran was in their relationship. The roast showed a side of Freeman most people never see: sharp, cutting, and unafraid to embarrass even his closest friends. The moment revealed Freeman's true personality. Beneath the calm exterior lies someone who doesn't suffer fools gladly and remembers every slight, even decades later. Washington took it gracefully, but the audience got to see Freeman at his most brutally honest. But if you think that was savage, wait until you hear how Freeman handles it when people can't even tell him apart from his contemporaries. The mistaken identity problem between Morgan Freeman and Samuel L. Jackson has become so common that both actors now expect it at every public appearance. But Freeman's reaction to these mix-ups reveals a surprisingly sharp edge to his personality.
That's it. No, I'm not Morgan Freeman. Yeah, come on, you're Morgan Freeman. No, I guarantee you, I'm not Morgan Freeman.
Oh my God.
Took my phone out, Googled Morgan Freeman, put his picture up, and did that. And the guy was like, yeah.
While Jackson handles these situations with humor, Freeman takes a different approach. In interviews, he's revealed his frustration with the constant confusion, showing a side of him that's far from the patient, understanding figure people expect. Freeman has recounted multiple airport incidents where fans approached him, certain he was Samuel L. Jackson. Unlike Jackson's playful responses, Freeman's reactions border on irritated. He's described telling people firmly that he's not Jackson, only to have them argue with him about his own identity.
I tell everybody that I'm sorry. I have a problem.
The confusion has created an unexpected rivalry between the two legends. Both actors have built their careers on commanding screen presence and distinctive voices, yet the public seems unable to distinguish between them. This has led to some tense moments in industry circles. Freeman's competitive nature emerges when discussing Jackson's career. While he publicly maintains respect for his fellow actor, those close to the situation report that Freeman finds the comparisons diminishing to his own carefully crafted image. The mistaken identity issue highlights something deeper about Freeman's personality: his need for recognition and distinction. For someone who spent decades building a unique brand, being confused with another actor strikes at his professional pride. Jackson has admitted that both actors deal with this constantly, but their different approaches reveal contrasting personalities. Where Jackson uses humor to deflect, Freeman's responses show someone who takes his individual identity very seriously. This ongoing mix-up has created an unexpected dynamic between two of Hollywood's most respected actors. The constant confusion reveals something deeper about how the industry and public perceive veteran black actors. But Freeman's reaction to other generational changes might surprise you even more. In a 2015 interview, Freeman was asked about modern actors using social media. His response was telling: "I don't understand why anyone would want to share their private life with strangers." The comment seemed harmless until reporters realized it was a direct shot at one particular megastar. Freeman's comment about social media wasn't random. It was specifically aimed at actors like Will Smith, who had recently begun sharing family struggles and personal moments online.
Jada and I have, we weathered some storms, and that's really, for me, the only way that you can get to the other side.
Freeman represents old-school Hollywood dignity, while Smith embodies modern celebrity culture. Freeman has built his career on carefully controlled public appearances and measured statements. Smith, by contrast, lives his life in the spotlight, sharing personal struggles and political opinions across social media platforms. This fundamental difference in approach has led to some revealing moments. During industry events, Freeman has been observed maintaining distance from Smith's more exuberant crowd. While never directly critical, Freeman's body language and brief interactions suggest someone uncomfortable with Smith's high-energy approach to celebrity. The generational divide became apparent during conversations about social justice and Hollywood representation. Freeman prefers quiet diplomacy and behind-the-scenes influence, while Smith uses his platform for vocal activism. These different philosophies have created subtle friction in their professional interactions. Freeman views Smith's generation as less serious about the craft. He's made subtle references to actors who prioritize fame over artistry, statements that industry insiders believe were directed at figures like Smith.
People talk about rock bottom, that when you hit rock bottom is when you'll make a change. But there's a corresponding place that I call cliff top.
The tension reflects broader Hollywood dynamics between established veterans and newer stars. Freeman represents a generation that earned respect through decades of serious dramatic work, while Smith built his career on blockbuster entertainment and personal brand building. Their different approaches to handling controversy have also created distance. When Smith faced public scandals, Freeman's response was notably measured and distant, suggesting someone who prefers to avoid association with dramatic public failures. This generational clash reveals Freeman's protective attitude toward his carefully cultivated reputation. But sometimes the biggest threats to that reputation come from unexpected places, like when Academy voters can't decide between two almost identical candidates. During the 2005 Oscar season, Freeman found himself nominated alongside Forrest Whitaker in different categories. What should have been a celebration of black excellence became something else entirely when Freeman noticed the industry's reaction. The 2005 awards season created an uncomfortable situation. Freeman was nominated for Million Dollar Baby, while Whitaker was generating buzz for his dramatic roles. What happened next shocked industry insiders who witnessed Freeman's reaction firsthand. At the Oscar nominees luncheon, Freeman and Whitaker were seated at the same table. When conversation turned to their upcoming films, Freeman made a comment that left everyone uncomfortable. It's interesting how the Academy always seems to find room for certain types of performances. The comment was directed at Whitaker, who had been praised for his intense, method-based approach. Freeman had been tracking Whitaker's career moves for years. Studio executives noticed how Freeman would inquire about roles that went to Whitaker, always asking pointed questions about the selection process. When The Last King of Scotland was offered to both actors, Freeman's response was telling, "I don't do accents for Oscar bait." The rivalry intensified when both actors attended the same industry screening. Freeman arrived first and chose his seat. When Whitaker entered and sat nearby, Freeman visibly moved to another section. The slight was so obvious that other attendees started whispering about the tension. During interviews, Freeman began making subtle digs at method acting. "Some actors need to completely lose themselves in a role," he said in a 2006 interview. "Others understand that consistency and professionalism matter more than theatrical displays." Everyone knew he was talking about Whitaker.
You get a script and you read it right away. They've given you all of the background. They tell you what the character looks like. Some writers even want to tell you what this character sounds like.
The competition reached its peak at a film festival dinner. When Whitaker's performance received a longer standing ovation than Freeman's earlier tribute, Freeman stood up mid-applause and walked out. He didn't return for the rest of the evening. Freeman's resentment wasn't just about acting styles, it was about recognition. He believed his decades of consistent work deserved more respect than Whitaker's flashier performances. When Whitaker won the Oscar for The Last King of Scotland, Freeman's absence from the ceremony spoke volumes. The rivalry exposed Freeman's need to be recognized as the superior dramatic actor among his peers. His careful monitoring of Whitaker's career and public comments revealed someone who viewed every role, every award, and every critical mention as a competition he intended to win. Freeman's most controversial statements about race came during a 2005 interview with Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes. When Wallace asked how to end racism, Freeman delivered a response that would haunt him for decades. "Stop talking about it."
How are we going to get rid of racism until...
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man.
The interview aired and immediately divided Hollywood. Some actors praised Freeman's wisdom. Others were stunned by what they saw as naive thinking about systemic racism. Don Cheadle was among the critics, though he never said so publicly. Cheadle had built his career on the opposite principle. He used every platform, every interview, every public appearance to highlight racial injustice. Where Freeman wanted to stop talking about race, Cheadle couldn't stop talking about it.
For me, that's something that's always trucked in because it always matters.
Yeah.
It's not always the most important thing in every situation, but it never has no bearing on the situation.
The contrast became impossible to ignore. At industry events, Freeman would avoid diversity panels while Cheadle sought them out. When reporters asked about Black Lives Matter, Freeman gave measured responses about unity. Cheadle gave passionate speeches about change. Freeman doubled down on his position years later. In a 2023 interview with the Sunday Times, he dropped another bombshell. "Black History Month is an insult. You're going to relegate my history to a month?" Then came the line that really shocked people. "Also, African American is an insult. I don't subscribe to that title.
You can't be a slave unless you are party to it. You got to agree to that.
Cheadle read that interview. His response came during his next public appearance, where he made pointed comments about actors who think they can wish racism away. He never mentioned Freeman by name, but everyone knew who he meant. The divide ran deeper than just philosophy. Freeman believed his generation had found the right path. Prove your worth through excellence, not activism. He had climbed Hollywood's ladder without protests or hashtags. Why couldn't everyone else? But Cheadle saw Freeman's success as the exception, not the rule. He watched young black actors still fighting for representation, still facing the same barriers Freeman claimed didn't exist. The older actors' colorblind philosophy felt like abandoning the fight. Industry insiders noticed the tension at award shows. Freeman would arrive, take his seat, and leave during speeches about diversity. Cheadle would stay for every word, often nodding in agreement with more activist-minded speakers. The most telling moment came during the Black Lives Matter protests of 2020. While Cheadle posted daily about police brutality and systemic racism, Freeman remained silent. His absence from social media campaigns spoke louder than any statement. Freeman's approach never wavered. He continued avoiding diversity initiatives, skipping panels about representation, and declining interviews about race relations. His message remained consistent. Stop talking about it, and it will disappear. Cheadle took the opposite approach. He joined every conversation about racism, attended every diversity summit, and used his platform to amplify voices Freeman preferred to ignore. The two men represented completely different strategies for the same goal. That documentary screening wasn't Freeman's only public critique of fellow black entertainers. Industry insiders knew he had stronger opinions about certain colleagues, but nobody expected him to voice them so directly until Tyler Perry's name came up during a roundtable discussion. Perry's empire was built on broad comedy and direct-to-audience content, while Freeman spent decades earning respect through serious, dramatic roles.
I'm Donald Trump's new communication director because all the rest of them sorry asses got fired, and they only left with...
This difference in approach created immediate tension during their limited interactions. Freeman has made subtle but pointed comments about the quality of contemporary black cinema that industry insiders believe were directed at Perry's productions. His references to serious versus commercial work suggest someone dismissive of Perry's approach. The creative differences became apparent when discussing the future of black representation in Hollywood. Freeman advocates for integration into existing prestigious projects, while Perry built his own infrastructure to create content directly for black audiences. Freeman's reaction to Perry's success reveals someone conflicted about alternative paths to industry influence. Having spent decades working within traditional Hollywood systems, he appears skeptical of Perry's independent approach. This creative clash reveals Freeman's protective attitude toward his own career choices and his resistance to acknowledging the validity of very different approaches to similar goals. When asked about Perry's success during that roundtable, Freeman's response was diplomatically brutal. Success comes in many forms. Some last longer than others. The comment might have been forgotten if Perry hadn't responded publicly, setting off a subtle war of words that revealed Freeman's feelings about another contemporary, one whose explosive acting style represents everything Freeman deliberately avoids. Freeman's critique of Tyler Perry's longevity seemed hypocritical to some observers, particularly those who remembered his comments about Al Pacino during a 1992 interview. When asked about method acting, Freeman had been unusually direct about certain colleagues who mistake volume for intensity. Both actors rose to prominence in the 1970s and 80s, but their styles couldn't be more different. Pacino's intense, explosive approach contrasts sharply with Freeman's calm, controlled presence. This difference has created natural comparison points throughout their careers. Freeman has made comments about acting techniques that industry observers interpret as criticism of Pacino's more theatrical style.
Sadist! He's an absentee landlord. Worship that? Never.
His references to authentic versus performative acting suggest someone who views his own approach as superior. The competition became more apparent when both actors were considered for similar prestigious roles. Freeman's reactions to losing parts to Pacino revealed someone who expected his more subtle approach to be recognized as more sophisticated. Their different relationships with fame also create tension. Pacino's reputation for intensity and unpredictability contrasts with Freeman's carefully managed public image. Freeman appears to view this as evidence of greater professionalism on his part. The rivalry extends to their critical reception and industry respect. Both actors have similar levels of recognition, but Freeman seems to believe his consistent approach deserves greater distinction than Pacino's more volatile career. Their parallel trajectories through Hollywood's changing landscape have created natural friction. Both actors adapted to different eras and expectations, but Freeman appears to believe his evolution was more successful and dignified. This generational standoff reveals Freeman's competitive nature and his belief that his approach to both craft and career management represents a superior model for lasting success. Though the 1992 comment was decades ago, industry observers noticed Freeman's subtle smirk during Pacino's emotional acceptance speech at a recent award ceremony. But Pacino isn't the only white actor who has drawn Freeman's quietly cutting assessments. In fact, his most revealing relationship might be with someone whose career took a dramatic fall from grace, a fall that Freeman seems to have predicted years before anyone else. Back in 1995, Morgan Freeman and Kevin Spacey worked together on the thriller Seven, where Freeman played the wise detective Somerset, and Spacey played the chilling serial killer John Doe.
Put the gun down.
I saw you with the box. What was in the box?
Because I envy your normal life.
What happened between takes revealed Freeman's uncanny ability to read people beneath their polished surfaces. That warmth Freeman showed Denzel was completely absent during his interactions with Spacey. Cast and crew members from Seven later recalled how Freeman maintained professional distance from Spacey, even when everyone else praised the actor's brilliant performance. In 2005, they appeared in Edison Force, but Freeman reportedly insisted on minimal shared screen time. When the film flopped spectacularly, Spacey himself later called it one of his worst movies. But Freeman's distance wasn't about the script quality, it was about something deeper. Freeman's ability to sense character flaws that others missed became legendary in Hollywood circles. While the industry celebrated Spacey's talent and success, Freeman remained notably absent from the praise. He never attended Spacey's award ceremonies and declined opportunities to present him with honors. When Spacey's scandal broke in 2017, Freeman was one of the few major actors who wasn't shocked. His only public comment was characteristically measured. "The truth has a way of revealing itself." The statement seemed simple, but those who knew Freeman's history with Spacey understood its deeper meaning. This pattern of Freeman's, the ability to see through polished exteriors to the person beneath, explains all his relationships with fellow actors. From his protective distance with Will Smith's social media persona to his skepticism of Tyler Perry's commercial approach, Freeman has spent decades making judgments that often prove correct. At 88, Morgan Freeman has revealed that his greatest talent isn't just bringing characters to life on screen, it's reading the characters of the people he works with. Behind that calm, wise persona lies someone who sees everything, remembers everything, and judges accordingly. The shocking truth about Freeman's Hollywood relationships isn't that he's competitive or demanding. It's that he's almost always right about people. Whether it's humbling a young Denzel to teach him respect, distancing himself from Spacey years before anyone knew why, or maintaining professional boundaries with actors whose approaches he finds questionable, Freeman's instincts about character have proven remarkably accurate. These 8 relationships reveal someone far more complex than his public image suggests. Not just the voice of God, but someone with an almost supernatural ability to judge human nature and the patience to wait decades before being proven right. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.